guys, how are we going? Welcome to Talking Boxing. It is Monday, March the 10th, 2025. And what a big week it's been in boxing. I sound a bit like Eddie Maguire, don't I, when I say that. But it has been so much, even like this morning's walking boxing was just pretty much a review of the last 7 days because there's been so much happening, so much about to happen as well. With how many big shows we've got coming up this Wednesday night? Brock Jarvis, Keith Thurman. We've got George Kambosos, Dord Jordan, sorry, and Tim Tszyu, April the 6th. Then what is it? All those other shows. I've had a few people ask me about those No Limit shows. I think I've commented a couple of times. So watch the Walking Boxing and you'll find out when those dates are and who the fights are going to feature. So as always, welcome to everyone in the chat. If you're new to the show, you can see the chat there, put a comment, question, whatever it is in there. And also a big shout out to everyone that listens to this this show on Spotify after the fact. There's probably 50 or 60 people that tune in every week, so shout out to you as well. All right, so we've got a few people in the chat to get us started. Let's start with our old mate, Big J. What do we got there, mate? And again, excuse me if the comments are a little bit out of order there. I'm sure they'll work themselves out as we go. And again, sorry, I'll start with Big J in a sec there, but some of the things of the last 7 days, as I said, the Thurman and Jarvis fight, the Fatal Fury, we've had the TKO boxing. This is what I want to hear about. I've commented on it every day last week and probably the last 4 or 5 days as well. So make sure that you give us your thoughts there. Is it a good thing for boxing? Is it a bad thing? I don't want you just to say, of course it's a great thing for boxing. Why wouldn't it be? I want you to delve a little bit deeper. Give me the pros and cons. I want to know what your thoughts are, not just a standard line of, yeah, well, of course it'll be okay. Because in my opinion, it's not all okay. In theory, it's great. It's a great concept, but I have sort of put my doubts out there this week about it, and I want to hear your thoughts. All right, so getting back to Big J, what do we got there, mate? Tomorrow, hang on, I'll put your comment up there. Tomorrow we celebrate International Day of your old mate, Big J. It's the 43rd anniversary of this celebration. Please ensure, is that a shout out or it says a shit out there? We'll say, I'm assuming it's a shout out. I'm walking boxing tomorrow. Well, mate, hopefully I'll remember. The old memory's not as good as it used to be, but for sure, mate. And if I do forget, happy birthday for tomorrow, mate. 43. No offense, but you look a little bit older than that. I'm just joking, mate. I'm just joking. Yeah, happy birthday to you, and I will ensure a shit out tomorrow / shout out to you tomorrow on Walking Boxing, mate. So, who we got there? As bot. A lot depends on what version of Thurman turns up tomorrow, but all things being equal, can't see Brock outclassing Thurman. I like Brock, by the way. I do too, as bot. And look, I've had a fair bit to say about Brock. Nothing personal. I don't think it's personal anyway. Been a little bit, not so disappointed, but no, of course I'm not disappointed. Of course you've got to sell the fight. I'm not worried about that at all. But it's been a little bit offsetting to see Brock just trying to be something that he's not. I know he's trying to sell the fight. I get that. I know he is, doing what the promoters are asking him to do. He's doing what he thinks he should do, and I get it. It just seems really forced. It seems really awkward. Look, I do... Sorry, I just got something in my teeth there. I do think he'll give... Oh, sorry. There it is right there. Sorry about that. Shout out to everyone watching live. Okay. I do... Yeah, look, I do think he's going to give us a lot better performance than maybe a lot of us might have thought off the bat. I think... like a lot of you people out there, guys and girls, that when this fight was first announced, I thought, what are they doing? And it's been well documented that Jeff Fenech didn't want the fight. And I think this has led to the breakup between the two. Well, it hasn't helped anyway. So, yeah, I think it'll go a lot better than what we thought, than what we maybe think. I think just looking at the size difference today, now the 3 years out of the ring really bothers me with Keith Thurman. Not that Brock Jarvis has been overly active either, but the size difference today. You've got a guy coming up from, 140, prior to that, 122, prior to that, 15 or whatever the hell it was. And he looks like a light heavyweight at the moment, Brock. But he was taller, he looked thicker. It is at middleweight. And you sort of got to look at Brock and go, how the hell is he even making middleweight? He's huge. I know he's probably not much below the waist. He has got skinny legs, but I think the fact he's going to be a lot bigger and stronger than Keith Thurman. I know that doesn't mean a lot when you come up against someone with good skills like Keith Thurman has, but I think he might surprise a lot of us with the performance he puts on. Will it be enough? On the surface, you would definitely say no, it won't be enough. But Keith Thurman, again, I keep coming back to the 3 years out of the ring. And what's his motivation? I know he's talked it up pretty well, and he's looking for the Tim Tszyu fight, but has he underestimated Brock Jarvis to the point that he'll go in there expecting it to happen on Wednesday, and Brock Jarvis catches him on the hop? I'm really keen to see what Brock Jarvis has got. I really am. I've said in the Walking Boxing's episode, a few times that he was that young up-and-coming prospect, has done nothing to warrant a fight with someone of the caliber of Keith Thurman, but doesn't matter. He's in the fight now. And I think he looked pretty comfortable up there. I thought he was dressed well today. I thought he spoke a lot better today. No swear words. You don't need to carry on like an idiot like that. I was really impressed with the way he handled himself. Maybe Keith got under his collar a little bit when they were facing off, but yeah, I think he looks a little bit more comfortable than what I thought in this situation. But on the flip side, a massive asterisk is what's going to happen in the corner. Curtis Scott, his dad, his brother, Stephen Edwards is the cut man. He's easily the most experienced guy in the corner. Maybe does he have some sort of role now? Because Stephen has been a trainer as well. So yeah, look, it's going to be fascinating. I'm looking forward to it. But I'm with you there, Asbot. A lot depends on what version of Thurman turns up. I think if it's a Thurman that we're used to seeing in the last few years, I think you would expect him to be too much for Brock Jarvis. But if it's a faded and aging Keith Thurman, then maybe Brock Jarvis has a chance. Let's see. All right, Big J. Thurman versus Jarvis is a 50-50 fight. But No Limit wants Tszyu versus Thurman, so Thurman for the win. Well, you sort of get that impression, don't you, mate? So, yeah, look, is it 50-50? I still think it's probably 65-35 for Thurman, but again, it depends on who shows up. 50-50, yeah, I don't know what the odds are. I'm assuming Keith Thurman is the favourite, Big J. So, yeah, maybe get on while you can. Hey, what do we got there? Our first super chat from D-Style. How are you, mate? I love the beanie, by the way, D-Style. I see it on your show every now and then, and I've loved your show recently as well. I like the fact you've gone solo, a little bit like myself. I think you get a little bit more done when you're solo and you're just interacting with the viewers out there. I like it. I do like Calix on there as well, of course, too. But loving the show, mate. What do you got there, mate? How's it going? Hope all is well. I think Thurman wins pretty easily if he has even 50% in the tackle. That is the $1 million question, D-Style. Has he got it still in the tank? Because I'm sure that over there in America, when this fight was announced, you're thinking, who the hell is this guy? And everyone would have scrambled the box rec, went to YouTube and looked him up. The kid can fight. I just don't know. Well, he's not a kid, is he? 27 years of age. So I just remember him being a skinny little kid that I promoted. When did I promote him? 2017. He would have been 19 or 20 at the time. A skinny little kid. Did not say boo. And Jeff did all the talking for him. He did not even speak. It'd be, "G'day, Brock, how you going?" And he just sort of give you a nod and very, very shy. And now look at him. He's a different person, isn't he? So that's, as I said, D-Style, that is the big question. Can he produce? He's definitely talented. He can bang. I'm not sure he's a big puncher, though, Brock, especially at middleweight. But he can bang, especially to the body. Now, for me, if Brock's going to win this fight, he has to hurt Keith underneath. And that's where he can gain the advantage on Keith. He can surprise Keith. And he throws one of my all-time favourite combinations, which is a left hook to the head followed by a left hook to the body. And an aging Keith Thurman who might not be expecting to be hit to the body hard, you never know. You never know. But that, to me, is the key to victory for Brock Jarvis, is getting Keith to the body. We will see. Thanks again, D-Style. I appreciate it, mate. I'll have to return the favour. You've given me a few super chats. I don't even know how to do a super chat, to be honest. Whenever I'm watching, all I can sort of do is like your stream, whatever it is. I don't know how to do the super chat, so I'll have to look into it and return the favour. So thanks very much, mate. All right. Eminem. Benji Birchall, now 3-0, 3 KOs. Now, I did see that, Eminem. Look, it's great for the kid. And I think we spoke about it a week or two ago, or might have been longer, that he turned pro and had a couple of good wins. And very, very much just learning to be a pro. The 3 fighters he's knocked out have all been making their debuts. We don't really know much about them. And I don't really care who they are, really. It's about Benji learning to become a pro, and I like it. And maybe the best way to learn to become a pro is when there's not much risk sort of coming back the other way. You can practice some punches, grow into your body, becoming a man. He's only 15 years of age, remember, but growing into your body, getting experience into you. So when he does turn 18, he might have 15 fights under his belt. Yeah, they all might be first round knockouts in Thailand, but at least he'll have a platform. And he'll have 15 good fights under his belt. I'm sure Canelo did the same thing when he turned pro at 14. And I think it really laid the foundation for him going forward. So, good young kid, Benji. I've never met him. Just seen him online. But again, know his dad very, very well. And I like what they're doing. Don't worry about the caliber of the opponents. Just line them up, fight every couple of months, and bowl them over. Have 15 fights by the time you're 18, and away you go. All right. Back to Big J. In reference to your question last week, why did I move to Victoria from Queensland? Well, I married a Victorian girl. Don't ever do that. Just drains the energy out of you. And I'm from Rockhampton, not Brisbane. Oh, there you go. So I didn't know you were... Did I say you were from Brisbane? Did I? Sorry, I was just guessing. Rockhampton, I'm assuming that's way up north, isn't it? Well, probably good to be down here at the moment. Anyway, Big J with Cyclone Alfred wreaking havoc up there. But I can understand maybe coming down because you met your wife, being a Victorian girl. But why the hell didn't you move back to Queensland, mate? That's all I can ask. Especially with the state of Victoria at the moment, mate. It's a bit early to be getting into all that sort of stuff. Where's my old mate? Sorry, excuse the pun there. My other old mate, Peter Nutt. I'm sure he'll be in here at some stage talking about Victoria and its problems. There is some issues with the Labor Party at the moment in Victoria. Old Jacinta Allen might be facing a leadership challenge. So it's just never a dull moment in Victorian politics. Fair dinkum. It's a shamozzle. It's a shambles. OG, lights out. What do you got there, mate? Hope you're well. Don't forget, Basia A will win. Also, are you planning to come up to Cairns in June? Now, you've been saying that for a long time, OG. Now, I watched the press conference today. I'm not sure whether you did on the No Limit website or Facebook page. He looked pretty confident. And I really liked the fact that he came over here and didn't try and disrespect Michael Zarafa, didn't try and get into a slanging match. He said he's had a lot of people pull him up and say they're rooting for him, as they say in America. But he's just here to do a job. Now, I haven't been able to get a lot of footage of him, OG, but I'm going to take your word for it. My only issue, OG, is that there's big stakes riding on Michael Zarafa winning this fight, whether it be Nikita Tszyu, Tim Tszyu, Brock Jarvis, Keith Thurman, who knows. I just don't see why they would risk that. But having said that, they did it with Isaac Hardman with Saavedra, didn't they? They brought Endry Saavedra over. Maybe they didn't expect him to be as good as he was. They were probably expecting the head splitter to get the job done. So they're not sort of against bringing in international opponents that are going to give their fighters a test. So we will see. But, mate, as I said, I haven't been able to get a lot of footage. From what I've seen, he looks capable. But again, I'm not sure whether they would bring him over if he posed a risk to Michael Zarafa. However, I'm going to come back to you, mate, if he does get the job done. What are the odds, OG? Let us know. Is it worth everyone in the chat jumping on Basir A to get the win? Let me know. Eminem again. How's the zone? The cheeky buggers have upped the monthly subscription to $30. Yeah, it was $3 when I first signed up. Well, Eminem, look, I don't know whether you're in business yourself or not, but what happens is it's the golden rule. I do it all the time or over the last 26 years since I've been in business. When you open a new business or you start a new business, you got to have the loss leaders, mate. You got to come out hard. You got to invest in your business. So, for instance, in my business, which is liquor or bottle shops, I might go. Let's say, I don't know where you're from, here in Victoria. We might go out at, Carlton Dry at like $40. I'm just sort of picking a number. Now, that's about $15 cheaper than everyone else and what it should be. And it's like, wow. So all the people out there go, wow, and they all come flocking in and hopefully we get to keep them. And it's almost investment in your business. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to sell 100 slabs at that price. It's going to cost me $1,500. It's a pretty small investment when you think about it for a brand new business. These guys would have thought the same. $3. It's $3 they didn't have before. Probably not costing DAZN any more to put it on in Australia. So $3 if they get 10,000 people. Well, there you go. It's $30,000 they didn't have. Then of course they get you hooked up. They have you, or most people, including myself, are too lazy to check when their subscription's up, and they just keep rolling on, and they get the hooks in you, and it's very hard to get out there, M&M. But that's a lot, isn't it? I actually pay by the year, which I think is, let me have a look. Where it's hang on, I'll look it up here. Okay, DAZN. Where is it? Hang on, I've lost it. There it is. Oh no, hang on. So, all right, subscriptions. Where are we? DAZN. It is $150 a year. There it is, $149.99 for a year if you pay by the month. Now I know not everyone can stump up a year's worth in one hit, but that's $12.50 a month. But that is a lot. M&M, $30 on top of Foxtel or KO, and if you get all the other streaming apps, that's a lot of money, isn't it? A lot of money. I looked at my Foxtel bill the other day. It was $165. That's without any events. And that's just the movie channels. Of course, it's got Fox Footy and all that sort of stuff on it as well. We've got a couple of boxes in the house. That's a lot of money, isn't it? I've actually tried to add up whether it'd be better for me just to get Fox Footy or KO, Netflix, DAZN, and a few others, and probably work out half the price. They get you, don't they? All right, so I got a little bit off track there. Under 2 weeks till the Cambosis Jordan card, and Thurman still doesn't have an opponent. I did see that, M&M. Now, let me just have a quick look. Now, has anything else changed with the card? Let's have a quick look. Look, M&M, they'll find someone. They might have to go across the ditch to New Zealand and find a heavyweight over there, who's willing to fight on late notice. But it doesn't bode well, does it, when you're 2 weeks out and we haven't got an opponent? What have we got there? All right, so just checking the card. So, yeah, it's still TBA. Now, is it the other ones? Jaden Buwan, Jordan Caselleris. I have no idea. I'm looking forward to seeing Iman Kadaev. He is a gun. Now, did I just see, a super chat come through? Yes. OG lights out. Thanks very much, mate. $2.99. I appreciate it. I'll get me 1 month worth of DAZN if I sign up now, I suppose. Is there still a sign-up fee? I don't know, but thanks very much, mate. I appreciate it. All adds up, mate. All right. I lost my way there. Sorry, guys. Where are we? All right. Can you run us through what you know about the No Limit dates again? Okay. So, of course, we've got March 12 is Thurman and Jarvis. The next one is April the 6th, which is Tim Zoo. July the 6th is, well, if it goes according to plan, Zoo and Thurman. July 11 is Cairns. Oh, sorry, I'll backtrack a bit. May 14th, sorry, that was the next one. That's Sam Goodman in Sydney is the May 14 date. Okay, then July 6th is Zoo Thurman, if it all goes according to plan. July 11th will be Liam Paro in Cairns. And there are rumours that Nikita Zoo will be on that card as well, depending on his hand. So if it's delayed a little bit, they might just keep him out a little bit longer. They'll put him on the card in Cairns, probably on the undercard of Liam, you would probably think. And which is why I reckon they've signed guys like Liam and Michael Zarafa up, because it probably takes the pressure off Nikita Zul a little bit to carry a whole pay-per-view himself. He's only had, 10, 11 fights. Way too early for him. So I don't mind it if No Limit put him on the undercard of Liam Paro. And then July 23rd is going to be, if Kira Rustin, or whatever his name is, gets through Wednesday night, he will fight Callum Peters on the July 23 card, which will be No Limit on Fox. That's a free card. The other three are pay-per-views. So the pay-per-view, so March 12, Thurman, Jarvis. May 14 is Goodman versus somebody. July 6th is Tim Tszyu. July 11 is Liam Paro. And then the July 23rd card is free. The only issue I've got with it is a lot of pay-per-views pretty close together, especially the one on the 6th and the 11th. You're expecting people to fork out $70 2 weeks in a row, or not even a week apart. That's the only problem I have with all of that. But I'm just going to confirm that while we're going here, by the way, guys, because I saw it. I think it was on the Herald Sun website a while back. And I've had it confirmed by a couple of people, but I just want to make sure. Where was it? Actually, I think it was, there it is. All right, I'll read this this is from our old mate Brendan Bradford, by the way. Let's have a look. All right, so the year gets underway with Thurman and Jarvis. Tim Tszyu back on April the 6th in Newcastle. Tszyu Thurman on the Gold Coast, July 6th. There it is there. So May 14, Sam Goodman in Sydney. June 11th, not July 11th. June 11th in Cairns is Liam Paro. July 6th is the Tszyu Thurman fight. Maybe Liam Wilson on the undercard of that as well, by the way. I didn't mention that. And then July 23 is Callum Peters and Kira Rushton. Or Tonga, whoever wins on Wednesday night. So does that make sense? I hope it does. All right, we'll move on. There's David. How are you, David? Drew, I'm not entirely sure why certain fans, analysts, and YouTubers are acting surprised over Turkey's sudden alliance with Dana. I feel it was kind of naive to think there was never an agenda at play. Well, mate, I'm with you. I must admit, though, I'd heard all the rumours about Dana White. Well, I think he's spoken about this for a while, hasn't he? About wanting to get involved in boxing and taking the UFC concept into boxing. But I must admit, I won't say totally discounted it, Drew, but I was skeptical that it would happen with Turkey because of the relationship that he has with Oscar and Eddie, especially with Oscar. I thought, Dana and Oscar pretty much hate each other's guts. I thought that in Turki Alalshikh's mind, he had the right mix. He had Eddie and he had Oscar, the two biggest promoters in the world, working or riding shotgun with him. I thought he had everything that he needed, and that's why I thought maybe the Dana White thing might be put aside, and Dana might even have to do it himself, or something else would be worked out. So I am surprised that it has happened, Drew, and I've said a couple of times. We've heard from Eddie Hearn. Seems pretty cool with the whole thing. Be interesting to hear what he has to say behind closed doors, though, unless there's an arrangement with Turkey we don't know about. He seemed way too chill for me, Drew. Way too chill. He seemed way too good with it, and it just makes me a little bit uneasy. So maybe there's been another arrangement worked out with Turkey and Eddie. The Oscar is the De La Hoya scenario is the more fascinating one because we've heard nothing from Oscar De La Hoya. Zero. And I mentioned it this morning. This is the ultimate clapback topic or a main point of an agenda. Will he go with it or won't he? I'm suspecting he won't. I think he might toe the line like Eddie has and say, yeah, well, I'm okay, because he's in too deep. And if he has played Oscar and Eddie, it'll be one of the major plays. It'll be like Ocean's 11 all over again. Something like this is what it reminds me of. He's used Eddie and Oscar to gain access to fighters, to gain knowledge from both of them, to gain contacts, to get an understanding of the pro game. And now he's just gone with Dana White and said, here's my man. Thanks very much, Eddie and Oscar. It's fascinating. That's why I know it's not just black and white. There's got to be other areas of this that haven't been explored. I'm really intrigued to see how it pans out. And is Turki Alalshikh the Trojan horse into boxing? I know he's done fantastic stuff, but you've seen him as the time's gone on. And look, probably quite understandable when you think about it, because he runs boxing. He runs boxing. So he's got all the money in the world. Money is just a never-ending supply for him. But you see him now to the point where he's on stage. He's saying no to the other belts on stage. He wouldn't have done that a year ago. He would have been very welcoming to have the whole boxing world all together. And you've got to remember, this was his aim, to unite the boxing world, unite the unification, or the sanctioning bodies, unite promoters, unite the fighters, unite the TV networks. And now it's his first thing of saying, go away, WBC and WBA and IBF and WBO, especially the WBC. I don't need you anymore. Go away. I'm not paying sanctioning fees. You can go off and do your thing. And how are they feeling with it all? Because they've pretty much 100% taken the knee and kissed the ring of Turki Alalshikh. How silly would they be feeling at the moment when he's just going to say, we don't fight for your belts anymore? Is it the first phase of the dictator, not so much the smiling assassin in Turki Alalshikh? We will see. We will see. And look, end of the day, as fans, I'm sure we don't really care as long as this continues on. What we don't want is if that monopoly, which is squeezing, it's getting tighter and tighter. The walls are closing in on the boxing world at the moment. He's slowly but surely just wringing it out. And once he gains 100% control, what happens then? What happens to the Oscars and Eddies? They can say they'll go off and do things as normal all they want. But where's their fighters? I've even seen already, it's Dimitri Bivol. Really strong rumours that he will let Eddie go and stay with the Turki Alalshikh. Can't blame him, by the way. But what happens then? What happens to Eddie when all his best fighters go to Turki Alalshikh? And you can't blame them either. It's all about money. They're prize fighters. Oscar's stable isn't as deep as Eddie's, but what happens when the Virgil Ortizes of the world leave him? Ryan Garcia leaves him. They all leave him. What happens then? Barboza leaves him. They're all on Riyadh cards. So then they go back to being what? They become a, almost like what Top Rank's become. No real superstars anymore. And they become just those small club show type of events. No big pay-per-views anymore. PBC follows suit. And then Turki Alalshikh controls everything. Then what? And more importantly, what happens one day when he's gone? What happens in 10 years' time where he goes? Where's the state of boxing going to be then? Some fascinating times coming up, I think, guys. Let's see. Jen H. How are you, Jen? Happy birthday, Big J. You do look older. I was only kidding, Big J. I was only kidding, mate. You look 15 years older. Sorry. No, I'm joking. Shout out Walking Boxing. I tune in daily these days. Much appreciated. No worries, Jen. Glad you like it. It's just me walking my dog, chatting about all things boxing. And it's been really humbling to have all the response from people. And the views are going up every day. And I just love it. And some days you get up. It's funny. Some days I get up and think there's nothing to talk about today. I'll just quickly scroll through and I just sort of talking about whatever comes to mind. And sometimes they go longer than the other things that I actually have an agenda for. But I just love doing it, Jen. And I'm glad you like it too. Now, we've got another super chat there. $5 from Dennis. How are you, Dennis? Always support the Aussie fighter, but I've got to say Keith is an interesting and likeable dude. Who wins and how? Are you doing a watch-along call? Nah, at the moment, Dennis, the watch-alongs are on hold, mate, because I have to be at the pub in the KO Lounge up in Bendigo to be there for our guests. We did the UFC yesterday. Not a massive turnout. It's a little bit disappointing, but it's UFC. The boxing the week before was a lot better. That was pretty good. The UFC yesterday was a little bit disappointing, but you got to start somewhere. We've only been open a week, so I'm sure it'll grow. But for the meantime, Dennis, no, mate, I will be putting the watch-alongs on the shelf, mate. Maybe the Riyadh cards will be different, but not the Aussie cards. All right, I'll go back. I lost my way there. All right, Mark. TKO is not only about boxing, but has bigger plans. Turkey's Crown Prince MBS has plans for world domination. Got the Antichrist vibes and characteristics coming from him. Okay, what does MBS stand for, Mark? Look, as I said, look, if it all pans out and Turkey is true to his word and says, look, I just want the best of the boxing world, and don't panic, boxing fans. I'll still be dealing with Eddie and Oscar as well as Dana. Maybe the sanctioning bodies where it suits. Who knows? But just him the other day waving off the WBC belt. I know it was only a small thing, but I must admit I thought to myself, wow, I haven't seen that from him before. Is this the first step in saying, you know, look at me, I am the leader now? Like is it Tom Hanks in the what was that ship movie where they got held up on the ship, held hostage? That's what it reminds me of. I'm the captain. I'm the captain now. That's what it reminds me of. I'm now the captain of boxing. Step aside everyone else, all you sanctioning bodies. There's a new sheriff in town, so we'll see. All right, Cal James. Cannot wait for Brock Jarvis to fight. I'm sick of fights that have rematch clauses. No rematch. Give it your all for the first fight. I'm with you there, Cal. I hate rematch clauses as well. Probably rematch clauses aren't really needed in the big time these days with the Riyadh cards, because it's like the Bivol and Beterbiev situation. Turkey just dangles the money out in front of them and they all come running. No need for rematch clauses. Interesting with that too, though. There's word that because Turkey's made no secret of the fact that he wants the trilogy, Beterbiev and Bivol, but rumours are, and there's news reports today saying it's very close for Bivol and Benavides. So what will happen there if Bivol wants to fight Benavides and the WBC is forcing him to fight Benavides? If Turki Alalshikh says, no, the WBC don't tell you what to do, I tell you what to do, and we're going to fight Beterbiev. There goes the WBC belt. Anyway. Oh, Eminem, Thurman and Jarvis is actually super welter. Okay, there you go. Sorry about that. I didn't realise. I thought it was at middleweight, but you are right now, come to think of it. I'll just put in the card there again too, guys. Pretty good press conference today. I thought as well. Where are we? Yes, it is. Super welter. Is Brock Jarvis going to make 154? He looks like he's about 170 at the moment. Pretty crazy. All right, Steve. Brock might really struggle with that huge jump up in weight. So quickly, not many do that and succeed. Well, you look at his last fight, Steve, against Adrian Rodriguez, and as poor as Adrian Rodriguez was in that fight, Brock Jarvis really didn't set the world on fire. I think he looked really top heavy. I suppose I was used to him being at 122, 135, then 140 even. Looked a lot quicker. I think for me, 140 or even maybe 147 suited him best. I think at 154 and potentially 160 just looks pretty, like, very top heavy, and that those punches look very, very telegraphed. He looked like he was having trouble sort of moving and pulling the trigger on his punches because of how big he is upstairs. So we'll see tomorrow night. What's tomorrow? Wednesday night. Sorry, Steve. We'll see on Wednesday night, because Keith Thurman, you would think that he's not going to be hindered at all. I think he'll carry the 154-pound weight, no problems. And is he going to be too quick for Brock? The only thing with Keith is he's got to move. If he sits on the rope or on the ropes or in the corner and allows Brock Jarvis to lean on him and rip and hook to the body, he might find himself in a bit of trouble. Because as I said earlier, Brock, he's good with that left hand, left hook, left rip, and he can hurt you. So I would think Keith Thurman's corner will be saying, don't stand in the corner or on the ropes. Give him angles, twist and turn him, keep him at a distance, use the fast hands, and get into the later rounds and then carve him up. But Brock's game plan, I would think, would be to get as close to Thurman as possible, shut down the distance and the range, cut off those escape routes and try and pin him in the corners and on the ropes and unload. We'll see. I just think from what I saw against Adrian Rodriguez, how slow he looked. I just think someone as good as Keith Thurman and the IQ that Keith Thurman has, I'm just not sure whether Brock's going to be able to land enough to do any damage. But again, we will see. Has Keith Thurman got the legs to go, what is it, 10 rounds? Yes, 10 rounds. 10 rounds keeping Brock Jarvis off him. As a major champion, I was looking at Cole's next comment there, Cole champion. Some major questions that need to be asked or answered as well. All right, Cole champion. G'day, Cole. Haven't heard from you for a while there, mate. Hope you're well. Do you think Hearn is ripping out his hair knowing he lost Australia's next pay-per-view star in Liam Paro? I'm hearing Barrios at 147 is the next target for No Limit. Yeah, okay. I didn't hear that, Kyle. So I did hear that Liam's maybe open to a move to 147, although I think he would prefer to stay at 140. I think there's more bigger fights for him there. So, although at 147, he's probably got a better chance of reclaiming a title, hasn't he? At 147. Let's see. Let's show the rankings at the moment. So at 147. So Barrios is the WBC champion. Where's he? Yep. So Jaron, of course, Boots Ennis has got the IBF belt. Stanionis has the WBA, and Brian Norman Jr. has a WBO. So look, I would think all of those guys except Ennis would be pretty beatable. Kyle, I think Liam Paro's got a good chance of beating those guys, except for Jaron Ennis. I think he might be a little bit too advanced for Liam, but Stanionis not overly impressive. Barrios is, I don't think, is showing anything to say that he's going to be elite. He's obviously lost to Thurman as well. And Brian Norman, just okay. So, yeah, if he goes to 147, it's probably better than having to try and fight or get a rematch with Hitchens. Gary Russell, tough as well. Puello, good fighter. And, of course, Barboza and Lopez, who both have the WBO belt. So, yeah, it's not a bad strategy there, Kyle. I haven't heard it, but if it's Barrios at 147, I give Liam Paro a very, very good chance. For Hearn ripping his hair out, I don't think he'd be too stressed, Kyle. I think I said the other day when it comes to Liam Paro, it's a good move because Liam Paro to Eddie Hearn is just another fighter in his stable. Line him up. If he loses, well, send him back home. If he wins, well, we put him in there with bigger fights and try and milk him for as much money as we can out of him. Of course, pay Liam well as well. But in Australia, with No Limit, he's going to be a pay-per-view fighter. A lot more of the Australian public are going to know who Liam Paro is, and he'll be matched probably a little bit more cautiously than Eddie Hearn. He's just going to want to put him in with those guys. And if he loses, as I said, or just, we'll get rid of him and we'll move on to the next one. Andy, super chat. Thanks very much, mate. $10. Thank you so much. Turkey now breaking off. Might poach boxes he put dollars into. Canelo versus Skull at 175. Versus Skull and 175 trilogy will likely only be for TKO belts to bring relevance to new promotion, in my opinion. I'm not against that either, Andy. That wouldn't surprise me at all. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Turkey says to Canelo, because it is rumoured to be the first TKO boxing event. The Turki Alalshikh might say to Canelo Alvarez, show me your loyalty, Canelo. Ditch the belts, mate. Ditch all the belts and put up the TKO belt and let's get this thing started. And here's another 10 million to make it happen. Well, of course Canelo's going to do it, but it might be the ultimate test of loyalty. Of course he'll do it. I mean, at Canelo's stage anyway, the belts really matter. I don't think they matter a shit, to be honest, when you're at that level like Canelo. Just like with Mayweather and Pacquiao and De La Hoya. I don't think we even knew what belts they were fighting for half the time. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. And then, like you said there, with might be a double header there, Andy. It might be Canelo and Crawford for the TKO belt, followed a couple of months later by Beterbiev and Bivol, the trilogy. Also for the TKO belts, I'll split it out eventually, and I'll just give up all the other belts. I must admit, if I was in Turki Alalshikh's shoes, Andy, I'd be doing exactly that. What better way than to launch with a bang to have a double header? Crawford and Canelo, and then Beterbiev and Bivol for the TKO belts. We'll have all the super middleweight belts up for grabs, so it might give fighters of the likes of, let's see, well, not a lot is there. Still the same old. Plant, Mbili, Pacheco, Belunga maybe, Munguia maybe if he gets over Saras in the rematch. Light heavyweight, that's probably where some of the action will be, because our man Connor Wallace might get a bit of a crack. He's ranked number 2 with the IBF, so he would definitely get a crack at that. Very winnable fight against Michael Effort. Benavides would probably snatch up some of those belts as well. So, yeah, look, Andy, it's just fascinating times, isn't it? That really is. But that does make a lot of sense, what you just said there. All right. All right, Drew. I have my concerns over the payment structure of fighters under the Dana and Turki alliance. I hope Dana doesn't think he can implement a similar financial structure in boxing as he did in UFC. Well, Drew, I was thinking exactly the same thing, because you've got a guy in Turki Alalshikh who has overpaid all his fighters in those big fights. And then you've got Dana White, who's like, yeah, well, you work for the company, and the company is the priority. It has to make money. So, and we need this so that we're all comfortable. So you guys are going to fight for that. And if you don't fight for that, well, good luck going somewhere else and fighting on some obscure platform, and the UFC is it. Look, the thing is, Drew, and I'm sure everyone out there has done the sums as well. You look at a big boxing pay-per-view versus a big UFC pay-per-view. Let's say they have it at the T-Mobile Arena. Both events get 20,000 people there. Both events charge the same money for tickets. Sometimes UFC probably charges more. They get the same amount of pay-per-views, say 1 million pay-per-views, but the boxers in the main event get paid $20 and $30 million, and the fighters in the UFC get paid $2 or $3 million. So who's making all the money? It's almost criminal, isn't it? But I was fascinated by the same thing, Drew. What's going to happen when you got Dana White, who's famous for saving the pennies? I'm not going to say rips off the fighters, but he just doesn't pay them enough. I know you're probably saying, what's the difference? Well, they're still getting paid very, very well. They're just not getting paid what they should be. And then you got Turki Alalshikh, who loves paying his fighters overs to get the job done, which then comes back to, well, once we run the whole sport of boxing, then we don't need to do anything. We can do what we want. We've got them. Unless there's contracts signed that maybe guarantee sort of purposes. Who knows? There's more questions than answers at the moment. There really is. There's another one from D Style, $2. Thanks very much, mate. Watch Canelo pull. What's a bow? WB. Oh, a bow. Riddick bow. WBC in the trash. Wow, geez, that would be the ultimate up yours. I love. What did you say the other day, D Style? It was sloppy Suleiman. Was that what you said? I loved it. Imagine if Canelo did do that. Imagine if he got the belt like Bo did, and put it in the trash bin or the trash can. Mauricio Suleiman would have a heart attack on the spot. He'd be hyperventilating on the floor, wouldn't he? If Canelo did that, his main man, the biggest fighter from Mexico of the last 30 years or 20 years, whatever it's been, and or besides probably Oscar, his Mexican heritage, of course. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, D-Style. And again, I've been really loving your perspective on the whole thing as well. That's why I love watching guys like yourself and some others out there to get a different view to what I've got and trying to piece it all together. But that's a very good question, D-Style. I think you got another one there, have you? Mate, you don't have to keep giving me money every time you want to put a comment in, mate, but I appreciate it. What do you got there? I think they're using the ring belt if they go the league route. Turkey bought it, I believe, for that reason. Good call there too, D-Style. I do agree that I think we all thought, why is he buying the Ring magazine? I think it's more about the belt than the magazine these days, because there's so many boxing sites out there. So what's the Ring? It's no different to a lot of the others, is there? So you're right. It's a good call. The Ring is it just going to be called the Ring belt, or is it the Ring magazine belt? The Ring belt does have a ring to it, or maybe they just change the name from the Ring belt to the TKO belt and just keep the actual belt. I'm sure you're with me, D-Style. There's more questions than answers, and that is another one there. Because on stage the other day, they had the belt of the computer game and the Ring belt. They're the only belts allowed on stage. Good call, mate. Very, very good call. All right. I'll go back and try and get back on track here. All right. Justin, how are you, Justin? Thanks for commenting, mate. The fact Thurman is chasing Tim, an unranked fighter, proves he's only after $1, not a title. Good call there, Justin. Yep, yeah, it makes a lot of sense as well. I think at this, look, I don't blame Thurman if I'm being honest there, Justin. I think at this stage, he's two-time world champion. Does it really matter whether he's three? And I don't really think he believes he can win a world title either. I think he knows the backing that Tim has here in Australia and the following and the money that might be at stake. I mean, if he fought Tim Tszyu here in Australia in, when was it, July or whatever it was, or August was it, whatever it was, that he's probably going to be guaranteed $3 or $4 million. Probably a lot more money he's going to get fighting any of the champions. So, and at 36 years of age, maybe he sees it as a bit of a cash out. I don't know. I get the impression that Keith is just milking the last part of his career. As I said, I don't really think he believes he's a player at 154. And I think that fight with Tim just makes all the sense in the world to him. And as I said, another $2, $3, $4 million, a lot more than you get fighting Boots Ennis or one of those types of guys. All right, Mark Jones. Hope to see you in Canastota in a few months. Thanks, Mark. Well, I'm planning to maybe get there. There's a few things going on at the moment, Mark, and I think I've said a few times on here, well, lots of times about the new pub that we've just opened, so that's priority at the moment, but it's not till June, is it? I did get the brochure in the mail a week or two ago, Mark, and the fact that the Pac-Man's being inducted into the Hall of Fame, but as well as my all-time favourite international fighter in the Pazman, Vinny Pazienza, the fact he's being inducted as well, I've just highlighted the date and just putting it just on the back burner at the moment, Mark. I mean, it doesn't probably make a lot of sense to go over when there's to not see a fight over there. It's mid-June, I think it is. But geez, wouldn't it be great if there was a fight sort of tied up in that as well? I think if you watch this show, you know that I went over in 2022 for probably the biggest induction of all time. Well, it was the biggest induction of all time with Mayweather and Marquez and Cotto and Roy Jones Jr., I think. They were all there. There were so many people inducted. It was just amazing. Didn't get a seat at the banquet. I had to sit up in the stands, but I was ringside for the fight night. I was not ringside, but what do you call it, pavilion side, when they did all their daily talks. It was awesome, mate. And by the sound of things, you're in Canastota, you've been there before. It's a magic weekend. Again, I'll say it. If you haven't been to Canastota before and you can get there, put it on the bucket list, because it's amazing how close you can get up and personal to these guys. It's just like an informal meet and greet. It really is. And I thought with all those fighters there, now Mayweather didn't go to any of the things they have. They have the fist casting, they have interviews, they have all different stuff they do over the 4 days or whatever it is. Floyd didn't turn up until the actual induction. I love the parade as well, Mark, going through the streets of Canastota. I love the diners in town. And you just picture small town USA with those little diners with everyone in there with the John Deere hats on and the flannelette shirts and those waitresses you see in the movies. I mean, that's what it was like. I loved it. I loved Canastota. It's only a small little town. The quick story about it, Mark, I went there for the first time about 10 years ago. I was over there with my family and we went to Canastota, just not for an induction, but we were there on holidays and we decided to go there for a look. I wanted to see the actual place. I was the only one there. I walked in there, paid my money. It wasn't very expensive. I can't remember how much it was, but it wasn't a lot. Ed Brophy, the main guy at the Hall of Fame, came out, introduced himself, gave me a private tour of everything, explained everything. I was probably there for a couple of hours. Saw the Ali Fraser ring out in the pavilion there, and it was awesome to have Ed Brophy give me the tour. And then, of course, going back there in 2022 for the inductions, it was fantastic. So, again, put it on the bucket list if you haven't been there. It's well worth it. After they get interviewed on stage and everything, you can literally walk up to them, get a photo, have a chat, autograph, whatever it might be, and they are so accommodating. And there's nowhere near as many people as you would expect to be there. The days where all those guys were there with Cotto and Marquez and Roy Jones and all of them there, I remember just being, they'd come off stage and literally being right there to be able to film them, get a picture with them, anything. And they were all so accommodating. It was fantastic. But anyway, Mark, you never know. I'll move on. All right, back to Thurman and Brock. Keith makes Brock chase wins in 6 or 7 rounds. Brock tires, yeah, probably, yeah. And you're right, Cal. He is fit, but especially against Rodriguez, he did labour, didn't? I only went, what was it, 4 or 5 rounds, and he did look tired in that fight. I think he was just sick of hitting Adrian Rodriguez, and Rodriguez not doing much in return. So, good call, Cal. Steve, Brock is a very hard hitter, but not a good boxer. Gets hit too much, yeah. The only upside in this, Steve, is that he does get hit way too much, and he has been rocked badly in some of his fights. Keith Thurman's not a big puncher, but he is a sharpshooter. So, I mean, you hit someone long enough, they're eventually going to go down, aren't they? So, I expect Brock to be pretty dangerous early, but I'm, again, fascinated to see how he goes in those middle to late rounds. Drew, if Zoo beats Spencer and Thurman beats Brock, is Zoo versus Thurman the next ideal fight for Zoo? Well, it will be, Drew. That'll be the July 6th fight, mate, on the Gold Coast. That will be. Wow, Dundee Luke. Keith by KO in round 2. Well, okay. Yeah. Yeah, well, I haven't seen anyone that said Keith's going to win so early because it's not really his style. But look, you never know. So you don't really know, as I've always said. You don't know you're out of your depth until you're out of your depth. And maybe when they get in there, all of us probably, getting behind Brock, it might just be a right hand to their head or something. And it's like, oh, yeah, well, that didn't go the way we wanted, did it? So, anyway, we'll see. Look, credit to Brock for taking the challenge anyway. Hats off to him. Let's hope he can get the job done. Eminem, I'll be following Benji's career with interest. Yep. Glenn, seriously, Jarvis doesn't hit that hard. Well, at that weight, he struggled with Rodriguez, didn't he, Glenn? Really struggled to get off. Who was saying it just then? He does get tired. Yeah, he does. Cal said that. Yeah, he does get tired. So, and Keith Thurman being the ultimate professional, so experienced, whether his game plan would be to take Jarvis into maybe those mid to late rounds, and as they say, drown him. Maybe that's the plan, or maybe he wants to come out and make a statement out of Brock Jarvis and goes out there headhunting right from the word go. And the big question is, if he does do that, what happens in the corner? Where's plan B? Where's altering the game plan? Where's trying to calm Brock down? Yeah, it's going to be a lot of questions to be answered by Brock Jarvis. OG, don't forget to hit the like icon? Yeah, thanks, guys. I always forget to say that, so make sure you hit it. G'day, Jules. How are you, mate? Rustin versus Tongo came out of nowhere. Excellent domestic matchup. I don't think it's been contested. But Tonga was IBO Youth World Champ in 2024. Now, did he fight on Will Tomlinson's card? Jules, let me have a look. Love the name. Tongo. Is that the best name you've ever heard? Tongo. Almost as good as Terramona Jr. All right. Yes, he beat Max Reeves. That's right, he did beat Max Reeves, didn't he? He was undefeated. That's a good fight, isn't it? Now you've said that. And followed up with a knockout of Sebastian Singh in the fight after that. That was for the IBO Asia Pacific Cruiserweight title. Yeah, well, Kira Rustin is a very good fighter as well. He's 4-0. Good young talent. He's actually got another fight lined up on the 26th of April by the looks of things. Now, the guys he's fought, although 4-0, 2-0, yeah, but a good young talent is Kira Rustin. So that's a good fight, isn't it? I agree with you there, Jules. Yeah, what does it actually say what order it is on the card? I don't think it does. It does, actually. So you got Thurman Jarvis as the main, Zarafa Basir A as the co-main, Tapia, Vorobev, and then it's fourth down the track. Okay, so over 10 rounds. So I'm thinking, is there only the 4 fights on the main card? You would think so. And all the other, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fights would be on the free telecast. So, because that's a big night, isn't it, on a Wednesday? It's 40 rounds of boxing. So, anyway, we'll move on. Actually, that girl that Lynn Sandstrom's fighting, Jocelyn Fernandez. Now, who did she... fight? No, I've got it mixed up with someone else. I thought she'd fought another Aussie. And I'll keep going back. Oh, Taylor Robinson. There she did too. She got stopped by Taylor Robinson. Okay, well, if Taylor Robinson's stopping you, then you would think that Lynn Stanstrom will get the job done. Speaking of Taylor Robinson, actually, she hasn't fought. Oh, no, she did fight. What's happened there? She only fought, was it last weekend? She lost. Wow. There you go. I didn't know that. I don't think I follow her on social media. I didn't realise that. She fought in Mexico. Oh, that's a harsh one too. She had that draw against Gloria Gallardo last year. Remember that? Very, very lucky to get a draw in that fight. They've taken her to Mexico, I'm assuming, to get her confidence up and get a couple of easy wins. It hasn't gone to plan because she was beaten by Fabiola Marquez, who was 7 wins, 8 losses and 2 draws. Oh, that is harsh, isn't it? Yeah, that's not good. And she lost that fight. Where to for Taylor Robinson? That's, yeah, I didn't know that. But thanks, Jules. I've gone way off track there, mate. But thanks for bringing Tongo up. Still with Jules. Thurman versus Jarvis card. Low-key, way better than Zoo versus Spencer. Looking forward to seeing Hatanaka again versus Fawcett. Geez, you're right across all this, aren't you? Where's the... Oh, yeah, Jason Fawcett and Kohei Hatanaka. There you go. Jules, we've got to get you on here, I reckon, to do a bit of a preview. You know, everything that's going on. I do agree with you, Jules. I think this card does look better on paper than Zoo versus Spencer. I agree. Yep, I do agree with you there, mate. There is the pound for pound king. I'm doing very well, thank you, mate. Hope you're well as well. Mutsy says, my heart says Brock by an upset, but head says it gets stopped late. People forget Keithy Boy can bang as well as box. Yep. What is his record? 30 wins, 1 loss. 22 KOs, yep. Hasn't fought for 3 years, though. And ironically, his last fight was against Mario Barrios. Before that, Manny Pacquiao. Actually, looking at his fights in the last few years, Jesus, since 2014, or sorry, 2015, he's had like 5 fights in like 10 years. All right, so he had Mario Barrios as his last fight in 2022. Before that was Manny Pacquiao in 2019. Before that, it was Josecito Lopez. Before that, Danny Garcia. Then it was Sean Porter. Then it was Luis Colasso. Then it was Robert Guerrero. So he doesn't fight any of the easy guys. And then before that was Leonard Bundu. Now, just a quick bit of trivia, guys. I actually fought Leonard Bundu at the World Championships in Italy. No, he's from Italy. In Budapest, Hungary, back in 1997. So he's obviously done very well, has Leonard Bundu. Just a quick look at his record. How's he gone? 33-2-2. Last fight was Errol Spence, where he got stopped back in 2016. There you go. Yeah, so very, very good record from Keith Thurman. He hasn't really fought anyone, if you said off Broadway, since probably, when was it? Probably the fight with Jesus Carras back in 2013. But geez, he had 2 fights in 14, 2 in 15, 1 in 16, 1 in 17, 1 in 19. Sorry, 2 in 19, and 1 in 22. Jeez. All right, Drew. Have you invested in a bag punching machine to record your punch in the KO Lounge, or do you consider that too corny or not in line with your vision? It's funny you should say that, Drew, because that is exactly what I'm looking to put in. I've done some research online. I found is it Alibaba. It's probably the best site to go, and they have 1 million of them, and you can get them for anywhere between $1,000 and probably $2.5 to $3 grand. Depends on what you want to spend. So yes, it is not too corny, because I've had a few people say the same thing. Well, it can't be the KO Lounge without a punch tester, can it? I just don't really look forward to on those fight days, Drew, or just any day, to be honest. There's the guys out there, and all you hear is boom, and then 5 minutes later, boom. Each to their own. I just sometimes the bar people who are the ones there all day putting money through the till might not like that. But anyway, we'll work it out, Drew. But yes, I'm definitely looking at that, mate. What was that? Come on, time to cancel subscriptions and keep to the free French movies on SBS On Demand. I must admit, Jules, I watch a lot of YouTube. I never used to, but I live on YouTube now. I love YouTube. So many great things on there. So many great creators. Do we really need Foxtel and everything else? The only reason I think you need Foxtel these days is if you just put the TV on and just looking for something, and it's like live TV. Just to scroll through what's on, yeah, that'll do. When you go to those apps, you got to decide what you're going to watch. You got to go through all Netflix. You got to go through the sports. What are we going to watch? Geez, TV shows and this. Oh, geez, it's too hard. I mean, after I finish of a night, after I've trained and done this or got home from work, whatever it is, it's just get the remote out and what's on. Just scrolling. That's where it comes in handy. But geez, when you're paying $160, then I've got to pay for the fights as well. Yeah, it adds up, Jules. All right, Steve, my full Foxtel is $60 a month, so you don't have movies, I'm gathering there, Steve. $70 is too much for domestic fights, should be $30. Yeah, well, as long as we keep paying $70, Steve, it's going to keep being that way. Again, I'll quickly explain. The reason it's $70 is it just comes down to the logistics, guys. You add it up. It costs them a lot of money to put on. If they sell 10,000 pay-per-views at $70, that's 700 grand. That's about what it costs to put on one of these shows. They're big dollars, and that's not a Tim Tszyu fight. The undercard. Well, the undercard plus the main event, that might be half. That might even be more. That might be $500,000. Then you got the cost of putting the fight on, even though Fox Sports or main event would take care of the production. You still got all the expenses that come with it. It's not. I know it's easy to say it should be $30. I understand. On paper, looking at a lot of these events, they should be $30. But I'm looking at it as a former promoter. They've got to make enough money to put it on. It's not. And I know the argument is that while the big fights overseas, we get them for $30 or $40. Yeah, but the fight's already paid for over there. They're just throwing us a bone over here, and sort of, because the promoters are the ones that dictate the price. I learnt this the hard way the other week with the Davis and Roach fight. I was going to get it on at the pub. It was going to cost me $900 to put on at the pub. And I worked that day and we had about 3 people in the bar, so you can imagine how that would have went for me. But it just comes down to No Limit having to cover the cost, Steve. They might make, a couple of $100 grand through the gate, then plus pay-per-view. So they might get $1 million out of it. They've got to pay for the event. Then they've got to put some money in their own pocket. Remember, this is their full-time job, and there's 3 brothers. They'd all probably want to, earn a couple of $100 grand each for the year minimum, you'd probably think. So the money's got to come from somewhere, and that's the way it's paid for. The overseas promoters aren't relying on our money, which is why it's so cheap here. It's like, well, for that part of the world, $30 will do. That'll do. We've already made our money 10 times over. Give it to them for $30 down there. All right, M&M. All those No Limit dates are Wednesdays except 2 Sundays for the Tim fights. Yep, they certainly are, mate. Wednesdays is the day. What else? Sorry, Sam Goodman isn't a pay-per-view fighter. I agree. Sorry, I just had a message come through. Sorry about that. Yeah, I agree. And look, unless he fought someone like a Jason Maloney, which is maybe a fight they could possibly make, I don't think Sam Goodman's a pay-per-view fighter, mate. No. Isn't it interesting, though? They put Liam Wilson and Yusuf Dib on free-to-air TV, just on the normal Fox stations, but they had Sam Goodman and Mark Schliebs as a pay-per-view. Doesn't make sense to me. Do you think it would be better if he's just throwing something out there instead of putting these types of fights, Sam Goodman, Mark Schliebs, even Brock Jarvis, Keith Thurman, instead of putting them at $70, do you reckon they could even do it where they got 10 pay-per-views a year, they've probably got another 10, or maybe not that much, but all these No Limit on Fox events, maybe they could say, well, we're going to charge you for those as well, but we're going to have a bit of a sliding scale. Those No Limit on Fox events, so the Liam Wilson and Yusuf Dib fight from last week, we're going to charge you $25 for that. I reckon they get a lot of buys out of that. I'd pay $25, no problems, to watch that card last week. I thought it was a good card. And then we're going to charge you $35 for a Tim Tszyu fight, or a Nikita fight, or a Liam Paro fight, and do it that way. So they're getting more money during the year for those fights as well, and sort of have a bit of a rounding sort of scale of it. So 25 for the No Limit on Foxes. Just don't even call them a pay-per-view or a No Limit on Fox. Just say these are Fox No Limit fight nights. and just charge for all their fights, but just have a scaled sort of costing. So I wouldn't even pay $25 for Goodman and Schliebs, to be honest. I'd love to know how many they sold for that, by the way. I'd be staggered if they sold 500 of them. But maybe Sam Goodman and Mark Schliebs might be 10 or $15. I don't know. Then you've got the Liam Wilson, Yusuf Dib for 20, 25. Nikita might be 35. Tim might be 50. I don't think, or maybe even 60 or 70. I think we'd all pay for Tim. But have a bit of a sliding scale that way. Maybe that's the way to do it. All right, Polly the Farmer. Looking forward to Nick Ball and TJ Doheny on the weekend. Not sure how Doheny can comfortably lose a title fight at 122. Then the next fight is a title shot at 126. I'm glad you're looking forward to it, Polly. I really couldn't care less if I'm being honest. I'll watch it, but yeah, I'm neither here nor there, mate. There's another. What else is on this weekend? There's another fight on, isn't there? Let's just quickly go to Box Rec. See what's on. I should know. 1 week rolls into the next, though, unfortunately. All right, so too many coming up. No, I won't bother with that. Too many days. There's another big fight on this weekend. Is it Ennis and Stanionis? Was that the other one? Can't remember. Anyway, we'll move on. There, Mark. There you go. They're using Doheny as a stepping stone and gauged the potential in-away fight in Saudi in December. That's if he doesn't drop the ball and get KO. Yeah, well, I don't think there's much hope of Doheny KOing Nick Ball. I think Nick Ball stops Doheny maybe 7, 8, 9 rounds. Pretty durable is Doheny, but I think Nick Ball gets the job done. And then, yeah, it'll be... well, is it going to be Nick Ball? Weren't they talking about... So who's next? So it's going to be... who was it next? Mercado? What was his name? Whatever it was. He's got one in Vegas in June, I think it is. Then he's got MJ in September. Then I'm pretty sure... Nakatani was going to be next year, wasn't it? So maybe it is Nick Ball in December. I don't know. Too much going on at the moment. Double G. Check out what Dana had to say in the post-UFC press conference last weekend. A reporter asked Dana about working with Oscar, etc. We spoke about it a few weeks back. It is naive to think Turkey entered the boxing game for the sake of boxing. I didn't see the interview there, Jules, with about the UFC with Oscar, or about Oscar. So I'll check that out. And I'm with you there, mate. It's naive to think that Turkey entered the game for the sake of boxing. Yeah, I think he's a boxing fan, but like anyone that gets power, it goes to their head. It happens to everybody. I've seen it myself in numerous situations where I've had a staff member. They're really good guys, good workers. They become a manager, and all of a sudden their whole attitude changes, and they get lazy, and they expect everyone else to do it. I don't do that stuff because I'm the manager. I manage things. I don't have to do it myself. They expect other people to do it. Same in this instance here. He's now in the driver's seat, and he's for me, his whole attitude has changed. No longer the smiling guy. Just looks like he's happy to be up there with his heroes and the stars of the sport. He's now up there as the ruler of the sport. So look, who knows? It could be good. It could be good. No dramas, but the demeanour of Turki Alalshikh has changed. No doubt about that. Eminem, 3 Aussies announced so far for the WBC Grand Prix. I did see that. I think you might have sent it to me, mate. I will read them out now. All right, we have Lewis Clark at heavyweight. Actually, have they disappeared? Sorry, mate. That has gone. Lewis Clark was one. Hass Hamden was the other. And I don't know what's happened there, Eminem, but your posts have vanished. So apologies about that. But it was definitely Lewis Clark and Hass Hamden. I can't remember who the third one was, though. But, yeah, good on those guys. I think Mauricio Suleiman said 26,000 people applied for the gig. They're going to have 4 weight divisions, 32 per division. And, yeah, I'm not sure about the prize money or anything up for grabs, but great opportunity for a lot of fighters out there. Young Aussies. I think they've got to be 26 or under, I think, as far as age goes. What's that, Mark? Eddie's still got Sky and Katie. Yeah, well, Katie's about to retire. And let's see how long Sky hangs around if Turki Alalshikh doubles her pay packets. We will see. Glenn, Turkey absolutely used Hearn and Oscar to understand the game. I was never ever comfortable with the guy. Remember, the Saudi nation is hardly a fair and reasonable place by Western standards. Yeah, Glenn, it gets forgotten about a lot, doesn't it? All the atrocities that have happened over there and everything they've been linked to. It doesn't really get mentioned a lot by those guys, all the ones that are making the money, does it? They've suddenly just sort of foregone what Saudi Arabia have been guilty of in the past, because they're all on the payroll, mate, and how quickly they forgot when they're on Turki Alalshikh's teat. Glenn says monopolies are never a good thing. Never, ever, Glenn. Ever. They always end badly. Mutsy, same as everything. Woolies, Bunnings, Costco, the big money envelopes, all the small guys, then that's what you're stuck with. Yep, I agree there, mate. Eminem, still waiting for a tour bit of the KO Lounge. Yeah, I've been really slack on it, Eminem. The times where I've been at the pub, I've been under the pump, I've tried to video a few things. Wait till it's finished, Eminem. I've got most of the pictures up, but there's a wall, and I'm going to put some big posters and life-size pictures on there. So once it's finished, I will give you a tour, mate, for sure. Double G says at least Dana isn't holding Turkey's hand and calling him His Excellency. Instead, just simply calling him Sheikh Turkey. I must admit, Double G, I've always cringed every time I've heard Oscar and Eddie refer to him as His Excellency. It's it just doesn't sit well, does it? Doesn't sit well. And Dana, and by the way, I've heard a few things to say about the whole situation, but I love Dana White for what he does. I love the way he's outspoken. He's a strong leader, doesn't take shit, tells it exactly the way it is, he's not politically correct, so if the media ask him something stupid or whatever, he hits them right between the eyes with the answer. I really like him. And if this does work with Turki Alalshikh, well, that's great. I just don't like the optics of what it looks like from afar. So let's hope I'm wrong. Is that what he called him, was it? Sheikh Turkey. Well, that's his name, isn't it? I would have thought that only Saudis would have to call him His Excellency. Anyway, what do you got there, Double G? Looking forward to seeing Turkey live out his childhood fantasy by holding the pads for Canelo Crawford. Well, that's the only thing he hasn't done yet, Double G. The only thing he hasn't done is put the pads on, but that's coming. And look, I'm a massive fan of Canelo. I'm a massive fan of Crawford. Not that Crawford's sort of done too much with Turkey at the moment, but I must admit, I almost threw up in my mouth a little bit the other day when I seen the way Canelo was all over Turkey. This is the same guy who said not interested in the Turks' money. I'm my own man. I don't need the money. I'm going to do what I want. A little bit like Oscar, same sort of attitude. And then they just cave. They just cave. I get it. The checkbook's been opened, and he said to Canelo, how much is it going to take to get you on board? I understand it, but I don't know, Canelo. It's hard to take. But anyway, he's the one earning all the dollars. But you're right, Double G. It's the only thing missing so far. I think the other thing might be is that would Canelo maybe, and I've been waiting for it from Eddie and Oscar to do at some stage, but maybe giving Turkey a nice little foot massage. I reckon that's coming as well. Do you reckon, would you like to see Canelo giving Turkey a foot massage? Anyway. All right, Glenn, ever heard any of the UFC fighters speak highly of Dana? That would pretty much be a no. I know an attempt at a monopoly when I see one. Yeah, I'm with you, Glenn. And you're right. No one's really had a lot of good things to say from Dana, or from a fighter's perspective. I haven't heard fighters say, oh, Dizzy's looked after us and paid us well. We love Dana. No, you don't. You don't. It's a good point. But from his perspective, Glenn, he's running a business. He's running a company. And what do you do when you're running a company? You make the company as much money as you can. So if you don't have to pay your fighters all the money that the boxers get, well, why would you? I'm sure in the same position, if you're going to save $5 million a show, I think you're going to do it, aren't you? I mean, you got stakeholders. You know, you got owners. Dana doesn't own the UFC. He runs it, but he doesn't own it. It's like the WWE. It's an event. It's a company. It's a business. So, you know, and they've got to make money. So, Andy, we'll see soon enough, but TKO, just another belt. Can still enjoy all of it, though. Yeah, well, that's the only other thing, Andy. It's just another belt. It'll be the TKO belt. Maybe it's not the Ring Magazine belt anymore. Maybe it's the TKO belt. Stupid name, by the way. I don't like the name TKO. Go with KO if you're going to do it. TKO? I don't like it. But if it is the TKO belt, yeah, maybe they should have called it the UBC, the Ultimate Boxing Championship. They've got the UFC, call it the UBC. Something completely different. And have the belt looking like a UFC belt. I don't know. But it is, I'm with you there, Andy. It'll just be another belt. Because I said the other day, the WBC, WBA, WBO, and IBF aren't going anywhere. So for this to work properly, they have to close the doors. They have to turn the lights off, shut the doors, and go home. And the other promoters like Eddie and Oscar have to do the same thing. They have to go, oh, well, that's it for us. I'll throw him a license and walk away. That's the only way it works. And when you've got Oscar, Eddie, PBC, Top Rank, Frank Warren, all still out there putting on big shows, it doesn't work. It's just another sanctioning body. Another promotional firm. That's all it is. So anyway, what do you got? Sorry, I missed your comment there. D-Style. Paro should have had Paro defend title in Australia. Well, that's what it's looking like. Oh, sorry, the world title, mate. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. There must have been an agreement with Puerto Rico, a tourism thing, a payment or whatever that Eddie. Maybe I think what's happened, D-Style, is that when Eddie took the Paro and Sabrillo Matias fight to Puerto Rico, he signed a 2-fight deal. That's what's happened. So Puerto Rico said, well, we want 2 fights with our man Sabrillo Matias. Here's a check. They never rated Paro at all. They expected Matias to wipe the floor with him. And they've signed a 2-fight deal with Eddie Hearn to get Sabrillo Matias there for 2 fights in a row. Paid up front. Didn't even probably think that Paro might beat Matias, by the way, and then it's happened, and they've had to put the Paro's fight with Hitchens in Puerto Rico. Now, common sense should have prevailed, and Eddie should have, and the Puerto Rican government or tourism, whatever, should have got together and said, oh, look, let's maybe just rip up the contract. You can have your money back, or we'll work something out, and we'll take the fight back to Australia. Would have been massive in Australia. But I think that's what's happened there, mate. Yep, g'day to everyone saying g'day to D-Style. Robert Tyler, have you got a new website for the pub? I tried to Google KO Lounge Victoria, but nothing showed up. Nah, mate. It's just the British and American hotel. It's a pub, mate. It's a pub. The KO Lounge it's a lounge, of course, that used to be used for dining, and I've made it into a fight lounge. KO Lounge, I've called it. So it doesn't, if you Google it or whatever, it's not going to come up, mate. It's not an actual proper bar. It's not a venue. It's a pub with a KO Lounge in it. Maybe I should have renamed the pub to the KO Bar or something like that. I don't know, but no, nothing will turn up, mate. Jump on our Facebook page though, on the British and American Hotel. Check that out. Regular updates there. So we're there on Wednesday night for the Thurman and Jarvis fight. So hopefully we might get a few people come on down. All right. Cal James. Does Pereira still get a look at boxing, or now he's had a loss, does Dana give him the arse like most of the fighters when they lose their belt? I think you'll see a rematch, Cal. Again, I sat down and watched the first 3 rounds yesterday, and so I've got Sunday. I had work to do. I'm going home. So I cut out. I'm sorry. I just can't get into it. Even these big fights, I struggle to get into it. But apparently it was a close loss. A lot of people thought that Pereira did enough to win. So you would think that Pereira and, is it Ankalev, I think his name was, I think they will fight later in the year, mate. So I'm assuming. Sometimes it's good when you have a controversial ending in a big fight because it sets up the next one. Where we got? There's Tom's dad, Naz. Love what No Limit are doing for Oz boxing, but $70 for cards like this. Goodman versus Sleeves and the Nikita versus Creati is taking the piss. They need to look at a sliding scale. $70 for a big card, no worries. Well, there you go, Naz. Did I beat you to the punch or you beat me to the punch? Sorry, I didn't see your comment there, but there it is. There's a sliding scale. Charge for every one of their cards. And for Goodman and Sleeves, well, I don't know. If I had to pay for it, all right, I'll fork out $5. How's that? For Goodman and Sleeves for that card. Just to put a bit of money in. But $70 for Tim's, no drama. What happens if a fight like Tim's was like $90? How would that go down? And there was a sliding scale. So they've got to average out the costs all year. So, I don't know, would you pay $90? And you might go, oh my God, how could you possibly pay $90? Well, I know they do in America. They do for some of those massive cards over there, and that's American dollars. So, there you go. But, yeah, sliding scale, I think, makes sense. All right, Jules, speaking of Connor Wallace, where the hell did Jack Gibb go? Was very excited about his return at 175. That was 12 months ago after an 18-month layoff. Good call. Let's have a look. Nothing scheduled at the moment, I don't think. Let's have a look. All right, so that fight was in March last year. So this time last year it was. And nothing. I'm with you though, Jules. I was a big rut for Jack Gibb. I thought he'd actually go close to beating Connor Wallace. Connor Wallace showed his class, obviously, by getting Gibb out of there in the 6th round. But, yeah, I'm with you there. I don't know where he's gone, mate. He's still only young, I think. I'm not sure how old he is. He's 26, so plenty of time. But let's hope he comes back because he has got some ability. I just think he jumped, obviously, up in class too quickly. That's all. Andy says, totally agree with D-Style. Turkey purchasing Ring Magazine was very strategic. New TKO to enter rankings and might see bias too. Well, of course they'll be biased. They're running the show. And they need to manipulate the rankings. They'll be no different to anyone else, Andy. I think we all know that. I think we're hoping. And maybe at the start they might be. But you know what's going to happen down there. This is boxing. This is business. They'll manipulate the rankings, no doubt whatsoever, at some stage. 100%. Still with D-Style, I don't think the league will ultimately work, but they're going to give us good fights, and other promoters, I hope, pick the game up. Yeah, well, they're going to have no choice, D-Style, and even here in Australia, you know, with No Limit, I think they dropped off there a little bit. I definitely think the quality of their shows dropped off, and someone said before, when you're paying $70 for Nikita Tszyu and Danilo Creati, and then, what was the other one? Obviously, Sleeves and Goodman. I think they took their eyes off the ball. I think they let the stable of fighters dwindle. I don't think the undercards even were that good. But now that Tasman has hooked up with Eddie Hearn and they're starting to make some waves, look at how quickly No Limit have raised the bar again. And I love the fact they've come out. They've given us dates. They've given us more fighters to the stable. Signing Michael Zarafa up. Signing Liam Paro up. It's great. It's great. Who knows who else they might sign up? I still think they could do some things with the Maloney brothers. It's an option for them as well. But look how quickly they've pulled up their socks now that Tasman fighters and Eddie Hearn have come to Australia and are starting to make waves here as well. So and the ones that benefit in the ND style, of course, are us fans. Dennis, do you think Liam's the best Brock has faced? Getting KO'd in round 1 doesn't bode well for him if Keith has retained some of his former power. Liam's definitely the best Brock has faced so far, and arguably is Keith better than Liam? I think the experience level, you'd have to say Keith would be above Liam. I would think, although being out for 3 years and being 36 years of age probably maybe evens it up a lot. I don't just base everything on the fact that Brock was KO'd in 1 round by Liam. He got caught cold. Can happen to the best of them, Dennis. So I certainly don't take any notice of the fact that Liam KO'd Brock in 1 round. Brock went out there. He was careless and got caught. He just got caught. Bang. Big left hook all over. It doesn't mean he's not going to perform well against Keith at all. I think he actually performs better than we think, as I said earlier. Yeah, Eminem, yep. Actually returned and took a loss, did Taylor Robinson. Yep, didn't hear anything about that. Damn, Taylor lost to us 8-8 figure. She was actually 7-8 before the fight, D-Style, so I don't think they counted on that. I think they would have went to Mexico expecting just to get a couple of easy wins down there. Didn't work out according to plan. Taylor losing for a girl at 7-8, that doesn't have a picture on BoxRec. What's going on? Well, you know it's an upset loss or a win for the fighter when they don't have a BoxRec photo D-style. I don't think they would have counted on that for sure. Tony says, any news on Lieutenant Dan? No, he's gone very quiet, Tony. Look, of course we all know what happened with the Shanika Johnson-Nina Hughes fight. I don't think he should be, held to account for the rest of his life. I understand they gave him a bit of a holiday, but it looks like now they've given him the spear. Looks like Pios, is it Stephen Pios? Paul Pios? Whatever it is. Sorry, Stephen Pios. Sorry, Stephen, if you're out there watching. Sorry. He's doing a great job. Pretty hard to get back in when Steve Pios is doing a very, very good job for No Limit. But yeah, Lieutenant Dan, I still think for me, I'd love to see, what is it there? Sorry, we've got another message there. Sorry guys. Just had to respond to that one. Perry Kale is the one I'm speaking of. Sorry, I'll spit that out. There it is there. I would love to see him get another crack. I think he's earned it. He's been very, very good here in Victoria. But as for Lieutenant Dan, yeah, I don't know, Tony. Maybe. He did retire, of course, and now he's come back, or said he was coming back, but we haven't seen him since. He just needs another string to his bow, Tony. He needs to almost reinvent himself. The whole throwing the things in the air and, everybody makes some noise. It gets a little bit tiresome after a while. I think he needs a new script. But let's hope he comes back. I know he's not very well liked by a lot of people. I still think he's a very, very good announcer, Tony. Naz, Tasman have said Jai fight news soon. Any ideas who it might be? I assume it's to keep busy before the Zerto fight. That's what I've heard too, Naz. Now, there was word. I heard that... Where's his name? Oh, I can't remember who it was. No names are jumping out on me there. I did, like you said there though, Naz, I did hear it's just going to be a keep busy fight. But that's as far as I've heard as well too, mate. No, they did tell me a name, but I'm just looking at the rankings now. Nothing jumps out at me. So I won't name anybody and look silly. But, I've just heard it's going to be a tune-up fight, Naz. There is Peter Nutt. No black and white circles after the name tonight, Peter. What's wrong? You take an L there on the weekend, mate, did you? I wouldn't pay to use bottle tops. I wouldn't pay used bottle shops to watch Jarvis Thurman. Thurman absolutely smokes him, and Brock shouldn't even be in the ring with him. Yeah, well, yeah. Drew, not a fan of the Wednesday fights during the week. I understand boxing doesn't want to compete with AFL and league, but geez, it makes it hard to back up for work the next day. Yeah, it does, mate. And not just on TV. Imagine the people that actually go to the fights. By the time you get out of there and get home, it's a late night, isn't it? I get why they're doing it. I do. But I don't know. Look, I think you got to back your product, don't you? I mean, it's harder this year too, by the way, because AFL now are doing Thursday nights footy. I was about to say maybe they could do Thursday, but this year I think AFL have a game every Thursday. In the last few years, it's only been about half a dozen. Not sure about league. I'm assuming they do a game every Thursday. So I get where they're coming from. But what other night is there? Maybe no other weekday would suffice, would it? Yeah, it's an interesting one. How do you reckon, no, it probably wouldn't work either. Sunday evening. So not night, but evening. So you're out of there by about 8 o'clock at night. So the show kicks off, or the main card kicks off at about 5 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock. So maybe it's a 5 till 9 card, and you're out of there by 9, home by 10, 10:30, and everything's good. Maybe that could be something, and not really much to compete with, although there is AFL and rugby league on a course as well. So it's really, look, it's a lot different to the US, where they'll put the fights on Saturday night or Friday night. Most of the time it's Saturday night, and they back themselves. And the fight fans will just come out. But they obviously don't have as much faith here in Australia, Drew. Maybe they've just got to back themselves and put it on Saturday night and to see how it goes. Because the real fight fans will buy it. Now, if there's Tim Zoo's probably a bad example because his fights are on Sunday for a reason, goes back to the States. But let's just say it's this one, Thurman and Jarvis. If it was on a Saturday night, well, if the footy's on, well, I'll probably, if you go in our pub, we'll have it on another screen as well. So you can actually keep watching both. If you're at home, you can have be watching on your phone what's going on with the footy or whatever it might be. Maybe they've got to back themselves a little bit more. The real fight fans will watch it, but obviously they don't think that way. So, what's that, Jules? At least one Goodman versus Leeds pay-per-view buy over here. I bought it too, Jules, because I did the watch-along. I'm not sure I would have watched it or bought it if I wasn't doing the watch-along. Look, you're obviously one of the viewers out there too, Jules, that like to support Australian boxing as well. Buying it no matter who's on there because it's supporting No Limit and Australian boxers. So, you know, and there's a lot of you out there as well. But it's a tough ask to put out $70 for that. And I know Mark Schlieb's tried his best to talk it up. I thought he did a great job. But anyone that knew him as a fighter knew that it was just a one-sided mismatch. I mean, it wasn't only a year earlier. He'd been demolished by Rocky Ogden in one round. So pretty hard to then expect all those people that saw him get wiped out in one round turn out to see him fight a pay-per-view against Sam Goodman. Shadow Boxer. What's your most piece of boxing memorabilia you own? Best piece, I'm assuming. I don't really have a lot, to be honest, Shadow Boxer. You mean of my own? Or I do have a few things of my own. Obviously, I've got a newspaper article that was you know, when they used to when they had newspapers. I think they still do have newspapers, but when that's all you had, and they'd put the thing outside the shops of a morning, the headlines, and there was one that says Bendigo 4 go to Atlanta. I've still got that hanging in my gym. I've got my torch. I ran with the torch for the Sydney 2000 Olympics, and I've got that. I've got my Olympic singlet signed by the team, Commonwealth Games singlet signed by the team. I've got my first pair of shorts. I haven't got them here. I might bring them in. Actually, have I got them? Yeah, hang on. Just hang on a sec, guys. There you go. Oh, can you see that there? Hang on. There you go. You can see written on there is Bubba. That was my nickname. My first pair of shorts that I wore in my first ever fight as a 10-year-old. Actually, it might have been 11. They were my first pair of shorts. And I can't believe they were black and red. I cannot believe they were black and red. Essendon, my most hated football team, and I've got to have them hanging. I've been meaning to put it up here for some time, and I've got another picture I'm going to put up over that side as well. It's only been about 6 months since I've been looking to do it, but that's my first pair of trunks. They're about this big. That's probably the best memorabilia I've got, Shadow Box. I've got a few things. I've got some stuff signed by Costa Zoo and Anthony Mundine and a few of the others. I just put up a robe that I bought from the Canastota Hall of Fame. It's a yellow robe or a gold robe with black, cuffs and all that on it, black belt. And on the back, it's got the logo of Canastota Hall of Fame, and it's signed by about 20 fighters, including this Costa Zoo, Jeff Phoenix on there. There's Marvelous Marvin Hagler. I think Michael Spinks. There's a lot of different ones on there, and I've actually hung that in the pub. But that's about it, mate. I don't really get in the memorabilia too much, I must admit. I'm not a big one for memorabilia. All right, Eminem. Hardman doing an exhibition on the weekend, then says No Limit have offered him a couple of fights moving forward. Let's hope he's back, Eminem. Too good to be on the shelf. I love seeing him fight. 10 times profits. Zarafa has been quiet for this fight. Him and Thurman would be a good press conference. It certainly would, mate. I would love it. That would be a ripper, wouldn't it? He has been quiet, though, and I think he did say that he deliberately just put his head in a little bit. Look, he hasn't had a lot to work with either, by the way. I think Ben Dame has done his best to bring Tim and Nikita into it all, but even that's been a hard sell. I mean, Basir, he's too nice a guy. He won't engage. So Zarafa, I think, can't help but be respectful of Basir A as well, and that's probably why he's been a bit quiet. I still get a little bit bewildered how he speaks of himself in the third person when he says, you're going to see better Zarafa this time, and Zarafa's going to do this, and Zarafa's going to do that. It's always a little bit odd to hear someone speak about themselves in the third person. All right, Mutzi, it doesn't matter who's next with Inouye. The outcome will be the same unless he goes up again. Yeah, I said the other day, though, Mutzi, why do we want him to go up for? I know Nick Ball's there, but who else? That's it. Nick Ball. So, well, actually, the featherweights. Who's got the belts there? Featherweight. Angelo Lee, IBF. Nick Ball, WBA. Fulton's got the WBC, and Espinosa's got the WBO. Not really exciting fights for me, Mutzi. Why would you want him to go up when he's got Nakatani and Rodriguez around him. I don't understand why we want him to go up. Leave him where he is. If anything, go back down. Then those fights are going to happen. I mean, ultimately, Nakatani's a massive fight, but Rodriguez, what a fight that would be as well. Thanks, Mark. I knew it was, I had in my head it was Mercado's, but Raymond, Cardenas in Vegas, MJ September, Emma Williams and Belunga on the undercard this week on the zone as well. Thanks, mate. I knew it was something going on. Can you believe that Belunga's on the undercard this week? I think it's the last fight he's got with Eddie Hearn. I think that's got something to do with it as well. Hasn't signed with Eddie Hearn. Maybe Eddie knows he's going. So it's like, oh, well, we'll fulfill our contract with you and just put you on the undercard. Emma Williams I like watching, though. That's great news. Ree Hardman says, Jules, don't think this ban is going, his ban is going anywhere anytime soon. What he did was dumb. Oh, sorry, Hamden. Sorry, not. Okay. Great news, Ree Hamden. Don't think his ban is going anywhere anytime soon. What he did was dumb, but he shouldn't lose his career over it. I agree, Jules. And if you don't know what happened to Has Hamden, he threw a water bottle at a judge at an amateur show. Now, certainly not condoning it. Silly thing to do, and 100% he should have been suspended, fined, whatever it might have been. But 3 years is a long time. A long time. Now, maybe he's a few years out there, so, well, maybe it should have been a lifetime ban. You shouldn't be throwing bottles at a referee, and maybe you're right, but it's a big penalty to pay. Now, is that just New South Wales or Australia? It must be Australia, because you'd think he'd just fight on the No Limit shows up in Queensland or, well, I was going to say Victoria, but they don't put them in Victoria anymore, do they? No Limit. It's all the Queensland and New South Wales shows at the moment. All right, Drew. I tried to get someone to call me Your Excellency the other day, but unfortunately I wore a right cross. Well, I wouldn't discard that, Drew. I'm sure there would have been a few people lining up to do that to you. At least an open hand slap anyway, Drew. I think anyone that wants to be called Your Excellency should get an open hand slap. Mutsi Bam versus Nakatani. What a fight that would be. Eminem, Jude Grant was the third. Jude Grant, yeah, was the third fighter from Australia for the WBC Grand Prix at middleweight. That's right. Thanks, Eminem. And he says, what? Dana White did hold Turkey's hand. Might be totally innocent by Turkey, but mega dollars had Dana holding Turkey's hand like he was Turkey's girlfriend. Yep. Naz, who will Turkey and Dana use as their broadcaster? Could it be Netflix or ESPN, or will they stick with DAZN? I think it will be Netflix. Naz, I've got a feeling it'll be Netflix. Yep. And I've said numerous times, Netflix is the smoky in the whole boxing landscape as far as broadcasting goes. I think they could dwarf DAZN if they wanted to get serious. Massive player, Netflix. The massive amounts of subscribers. And Turkey and Dana, if they're going to have a brand new organisation, well, maybe that's what they want to do. Distance themselves from DAZN or ESPN and all the others and go with someone like for a brand new, sparkling new company. Maybe they want to go with someone like Netflix who's brand new, sparkling to our business. So we will see. But I think the WWE is with Netflix, and also UFC. Apparently, there's rumours they're going to go to Netflix as well. So why not we're going to call it the UBC. That's what we're going to call it until otherwise. Works both ways, says Jethro. Why would young boxers choose to work for less money that they could make going with promoters? Yeah, no, good call, Jethro. Andy. Will very likely be ESPN. Okay, UFC already there. Although there is rumours, Andy, that UFC is going to go to Netflix, as I just said. Top Rank exiting, freeing up a slot for TKO Boxing. I wouldn't be surprised if ESPN just exit boxing. Wouldn't be surprised, Andy. I think the amount of money they have to put up these days for the fights, maybe the viewership's dropping. Who knows? Top Rank, maybe they might go to DAZN. And the UBC might go to Netflix. Who knows? But I've just got a feeling ESPN are looking at boxing and just saying this is way too hard. Way too hard. Which would be a massive shame, wouldn't it? I mean, I've been watching boxing on ESPN since I was 10 years old. So it would be shocking if that did happen. Maya Musik. How are you, Maya? It's a bit sick to see all this greed considering Saudi's shocking human rights record. Yeah, we went over that a little bit earlier. Julian, the commentators for Riyadh season boxing are one-eyed absolute galahs. McGuigan is such a pain. Jai's fight against Massey was terribly one-eyed. Yeah, I am with you as far as that, Julian, I don't think the Zone have ever got it right with the commentators. They just can't, all the production. And I was actually impressed with Netflix with the Tyson and Paul fight. They've got a little bit of work to do, but I was actually impressed with the way they went about it. Just something a little bit different. I liked it. I've just got it. I think actually the commentators weren't too bad. I can't remember who they were, but maybe they could poach someone like a Max Kellerman or get Jim Lampley back or some of these guys back. I think Max Kellerman is definitely too talented not to be calling boxing, but we will see. All right, Naz again. Geez, the time's gone pretty quick. We've only got 20 minutes to go. UFC model might work for the 800 or 900 fighters in the company, but it's a lot harder to funnel 20,000 odd active boxers into one promoter and belt. I'm with you there, Naz. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they've obviously got a plan, so we'll see. You said it 100% accurately. This is boxing. The Saudis chose boxing to pursue their foreign policy ambitions because it is splintered, dysfunctional, and easy to manipulate with dollars. Yeah, hey, that's a great way to look at it, Jules. If the Saudis, because they've had their hand in other things as well with the golf. I think they do the live golf, and I think they've done something with tennis and all that as well, and they're looking at other sports. Maybe they've looked at, all right, what can we sports, or what sport is the easiest to sport wash, and is boxing. Because like you said there, splintered, dysfunctional, and easy to manipulate. And more importantly, everyone in the sport are all just gimme, 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 and they'll backdoor anyone to get what they want. They'll jump ship. They'll do whatever it takes to get what they want. And maybe boxing is why, or what they've chosen because of that there, Jules. A very, very good point you've made there. And if that is the case, Jules, how easy has it been for Turki Alalshikh and the Saudis? Eddie and Oscar and Mauricio Suleiman and who, you name it, they've all, Canelo now and Crawford, they've all just literally bent over and said, come on, boys, lube me up and let's go. Every single one of them. Which is why, if it is the case and Eddie and Oscar have been discarded and Sloppy Suleiman, as D-Style calls him, if they have been backdoored and given the spear and thrown out of the gang, how would they be feeling today? Very, very silly, I would think. Very, very silly. But I like that point, Jules. Very well said. Cal, if Keith wins and Michael Zarafa wins, I think they fight next. If Tim wins, he will look back overseas, will not risk a loss to Keith. No, I've got to disagree a little bit with that, Cal. I wouldn't be surprised if it did happen, but I've just got a feeling that No Limit, there's a reason they've brought Keith out to Australia. And who knows, they might have signed him to a 2-fight deal in the hope of penciling him in as the opponent for Tim. And I think he's a perfect opponent for Tim, I really do. Without seeing him on Wednesday night, I think on paper, Spencer and then Keith, the perfect two opponents for Tim to come back against and then hopefully propel him back into where he has an opportunity to get another crack at some of those good guys. Not to say he's going to get back to where he was, but at least it gives him the opportunity. But you never know. You never know. Look, who know if no, I was just going to say if Keith wins, 100% happens. 100% happens. If Brock wins, that's the other question. If Brock wins, does he put his hand up for Tim? I doubt it. I don't think Tim would be too interested in Brock. I think he'd still want to look abroad. Maybe it's Brock and Michael would be the next big fight. Who knows? At least we're talking about it, Cal. At least we're talking about these different concoctions anyway. Eminem, what was the reasoning Liam Paro has moved to No Limit? Did Eddie dump him because he lost his title, or did No Limit throw big money at him? Nah, Eminem, I just think, and what I've heard is he just wanted to come back to Australia and relaunch his career. As I said earlier, with Matchroom, as old Chopper would say, Liam was just another bare bum in the shower. That's all he was. He's just another fighter in the stable. And Eddie would say, all right, you're fighting this guy, and Liam would have to do it. And Eddie wouldn't particularly be too stressed about the result, because with Liam's gone, there's another 5 fighters coming in behind him looking to get signed up by Eddie. So I don't think that was the issue. I think Liam just wanted to come home, have a promoter that was focused purely on him, building his profile here in Australia, getting in the right opponents for him to get back to where he wanted to get to. Because Liam, if he wanted to get another title shot under Matchroom, then he would have had to probably beaten a couple, if not three, maybe even four really, really good fighters to get another crack. And it's very, very tough to do. If you came back to Australia, you can sort of sneak around the side a little bit. You know, you can maybe win a regional title here in Australia, get the ranking back up, get another two, maybe softer wins under his belt, get a following here, maybe earn a bit more money here in Australia and be at the same position than that he would have been with Eddie, but just getting there a lot faster and with a lot less risk. Shadow Boxer, why is Essendon your most hated team? They just are, Shadow Boxer. They just are. They're just a very unlikable team, Shadow Boxer. The Carlton supporter, we've all got nice little nicknames for each other, but when you're a Carlton supporter, Essendon are the scum. That's what we call them. They're the scum. Collingwood are the filth. Essendon are the scum. And I'm sure they've got the same nicknames for us. That's why the rivalry is probably the best in the business as far as I'm concerned. But they're just a very, very unlikable team, Boxer, Shadow Boxer. Ryan says, because we're Blue supporters. Yes, Ryan, we are, mate. Get on the baggers for 2025. Flash, awesome memorabilia, Lynden. Well, I'm not sure it's awesome memorabilia, Flash, but it means a lot to me anyway. I was 11 years old, just turned 11 when I wore those shorts. And I found my robe the other day from the same fight. Maybe I'll bring that out next week. Now, my wife, God bless her, she's kept all my stuff. I didn't even know I had half of this stuff. She pulled out a couple of suitcases out of our storeroom up in the attic somewhere the other day and unfolded it, well, unpacked it all, and we went through it all, and I actually found the black robe that I wore in my very, very first fight. It's a shame I haven't got my boots because they were about size 12, the ones I wore, and my actual shoe size was about a size 6, and I was wearing size 12s. Maybe they weren't that big, but they were like clown shoes, because it's not like these days where you just jump on the internet and buy some. Couldn't buy boxing boots in Australia back then. I still don't even know where I got them from. Got them from overseas from somewhere, but they were about 3 or 4 sizes too big. But for me, mate, it means a lot. It means, and in my gear the other day, and again, thanks to her for keeping it all, but I found all my Olympic tracksuits and jackets and even my training gear, my old gloves, that if you had bent them like that, they would have snapped. I haven't used them for 26 years, nearly 27 years. And with all the sweat and everything through the years, and they just dried up and they'd gone all crusty. They were just hard. You could just snap them in half, the gloves. But it was good. I found my old cup, my head guard. It was really good to... actually, a lot of my boxing gear from when I was 13, 14, 15 years of age. So it was really good to find it all. And again, as I said, I found a lot of my old T-shirts and shorts and trunks and singlets, all that I wore at the Olympics and Commonwealth Games. So that was great. And World Championships as well. I think I found my trunks from there as well, and a few old tracksuits from different tournaments. So it was great. German IBO champ for Jai. Who was that, Eminem? Fill me in there, mate. Ryan, come on, you Blues. Let's go. As Tyson Fury would say, Ryan, get up there, boy. Get up the Blues. Badeau, Jack, potentially for Jai. He was mentioned by Eddie Hearn, Drew, but I think there's going to be a fight before that for Jai. I'd be surprised if it's Badeau, Jack. You never know, but I think that might. If Zerto maybe fights Benavides later in the year and bypasses Jai, that fight makes a lot of sense, because Benavides has made noise that if he doesn't get the better Bivol winner, he might go to cruiserweight and fight Zerto. Then that fight there makes sense. Badeau and Jai. Badeau Jack has a mandatory to fight Riziki. Does Eminem, that's for sure. What's that, Dennis? As the Bomber tragic, not real impressed with the Blues either. Isn't that what's great about the rivalry though, Dennis? As much as I hate Essendon and I hate Collingwood, I love the rivalry. I love playing them. The first thing you do when you get the fixtures, when are we playing Essendon and when are we playing Collingwood? And the reason is, Dennis, and I'm sure you're the same, as much as you hate Carlton, there's the hate there, but there's also the mutual respect. A lot of great battles over the years, and as much as I hate those two teams, I hate all the teams, but I hate Essendon and Collingwood the most, and it's because I respect them the most. And I love going to a big game at the G, Dennis, and like Essendon or Collingwood, and you walk in there, and you're guaranteed to have between 80 and 90,000 there. just two tribes just at each other, and the atmosphere is just pulsating. I can still remember, and I still have nightmares about it, Dennis. Round 23 it was, in 2022 when Carlton played Collingwood. 90-something thousand people there. We had to win to make the finals. Collingwood were already there. We were 4 goals up in the last quarter, and Collingwood came home and kicked 4 or 5 goals in the last 10 minutes and beat us by a point. Put us out of the finals. But all that aside, I just remember the MCG just pulsating that day. It was amazing. It really was. But I've still got PTSD about it. And one day we'll get our revenge on Collingwood. Shadowboxer. Apologies for not knowing, but how far did you get in the Olympics? Congrats on getting on the team. Was it tough to make the cut? Well, first of all, it was tough to make the cut, Shadowboxer. I had to go through all the qualifying. The States first, the Nationals next, then Oceania. Then I had to have other qualifying tournaments before the Olympics to get a rating, to get in the top, whatever, it might have been top 15 or something in the world. I think that my highest I got was about number 8 in the world, I think. So it's never easy to make the cut of anything, mate. But yeah, sort of 4 tournaments, maybe 5 to get there. And then obviously that's the easy part. Then you got to fight the best 32 fighters in the world. So I was eliminated in the first fight, Shadowboxer. I came up against a fighter from Kazakhstan. And at the time, I didn't know anything about Kazakhstan. It was a break. All I knew was a breakaway from the Russian Federation. And I thought, well, never heard of that country. They can't be that good. Well, as we know now, Kazakhstan's not a bad boxing country. And the guy that I lost to, what was his name? Nurzan Samanov or something like that. Very, very good fighter. Very tough, very hard. He ended up losing. I think he won a couple. He might have won a bronze, I think, from memory. He ended up going a fair way. He got beaten by the Cuban in the semis, I think. So good fighter. But that's as far as I got, mate. Was the first fight, unfortunately. Sad state of affairs to see Lamont Roach appeal left out in the cold and no certified guarantee of getting a tank rematch. Drew, again, that's boxing. Had it been the other way around, I think we might have got a different result, but that is the sport we love and sometimes hate, mate. Shadowboxer, hopefully Tank's ego gets the best of him and he takes that rematch to quieten the critics. Well, I don't think Tank gives a shit what any of us think, mate. He's going to do what he wants to do. And I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't fight him again. Let's hope he does, though, but it wouldn't surprise me. Naz, did Chocolatito pull out of the Cafu negotiations to free himself up for a BAM showdown? Gee, I hope so. Yeah, I spoke about that this morning or yesterday, I think it was, Naz, that Cafu and Andrew Maloney's thrown his hat in the ring. That's why I spoke about it. But yeah, I don't know the exact reason, Naz, although, what are they, 115? I had a feeling that it might have been even to fight Martinez for the WBA belt. He's the number 1 ranked challenger in that division. He is number 1 with the WBO as well and with the WBC, so he probably could have taken his pick. I did hear rumours about Martinez, though. Or maybe, who knows, Naz, maybe he wants to fight Martinez and then fight Rodriguez in a unification, but he could have probably done that against Cafu as well. So I'm not 100% sure, Naz, but what it does do is maybe open the door for someone like an Andrew Maloney, who's ranked number 4 by the WBO, 3 with the WBC, not ranked by the WBA, and he's ranked 7 by the IBF. So yeah, I don't know, mate, but you never know. Could be some gold at the end of the rainbow for Andrew Maloney, who might get a shot at Cafu. Let's see. All right, Andy, who's funding the WBC Grand Prix if Turkey's separating himself from the 4 major sanctioning bodies for TKO? Well, that's the other thing, Andy. It was supposed to be in conjunction with the Riyadh season. So, I don't know. Maybe that's why everyone's cool about the whole thing. Maybe Turkey's has said to Mauricio Sulaiman, this is the route we're going. We're going to have our own belt. But don't worry, we're still going to fund your WBC Grand Prix, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Maybe he said to Eddie and Oscar, don't worry, I'm going to do this with Dana, but I'm still going to do the Riyadh season events with you. Maybe that's why everyone's so cool about the whole thing. I wish they'd just come out and say that, by the way. maybe he could come out and say, all right, well, this is the setup of our Riyadh season corporation or whatever the hell it's called. Dana White will front this part of the business, and Eddie and Oscar will front this part of the business in partnership with Riyadh season, and then we'll do this with the WBC, and they might do something similar with the WBO or something. I don't know, but maybe it'll all come out. But the fact that all these guys seem to be so cool that is I was going to say it's a concern, but is it a concern? Maybe it's probably something good. Maybe they're all fully informed by what's going on, and they're all happy with it. As long as they're all getting paid, I don't think they're really going to care, do you? All right, a couple more before we call it a night. $70 for pay-per-view is hefty, says Jules, but boxing is a tough business, and I try to support the fighters as much as I can. I'd happily spend more if I knew the fighter got more of the cut. Even better call there, Jules. From what I've heard, No Limit do pay the fighters pretty well. They do, and especially the main event guys. So, yeah, if that's the case, No Drama's forking out the $70. MVP's in with Netflix. No, yeah, that's Jake Paul's corporation. I think they are, Andy. Well, yeah, they are, because the Katie Taylor and the Amanda Serrano fight's going to be on Netflix. So, yeah, but to get one of the big guys like the TKO stuff, that would be massive for them. MVP, it's not a big organisation. So, maybe they're planning to go harder at it as well. Who knows? But of course, they've got nowhere near the money of Turki Alalshikh, and he certainly doesn't rate Jake Paul. So, I think if it came down to it, Netflix would kick down to the curb pretty quick, mate. So, but you're right, they are with him at the moment. Jules, it's been laughable. Easily, 18 months of hard work, and they got the keys to the palace. They did. Well, they might make documentaries about this one day, Jules, about how much he's played the boxing industry. Naz says WWE, who TKO own, is also with Netflix now. That's what I'm saying, Naz. And there's rumours UFC, once they're done with ESPN, will go to Netflix as well. So it all just adds up that TKO will go to Netflix as well. And it's a great partnership as well, if that is the case. With all those organisations, Netflix are looking for subscribers. And the best way to get new subscribers is to go to demographics that you don't currently have a part of. And WWE is one, UFC is going to be another, and maybe it's boxing is another. I like the way they're thinking, if that is what they're thinking. Is all right, well, we haven't got this sort of demographic. Maybe it's the 18 to 40 market. They're not really getting as much as they want. The male 18 to 40 market. Maybe this is the way to get them to sign up. Mutsy says if Brock wins, Nikita versus Brock, yeah, that could be another one there. Mutsy, another great fight that'd be too. Andy, I'd love to see Top Rank and PBC at the Zone 2 and eliminate cross promotions hurdles, but if all the promotions are under one banner and Saudis buy the Zone, they would definitely have control of boxing. Yes, they will. Hearn has said it multiple times, his priority is making money. It shows in his handling of the Ben issue. I'm fully behind Eubank in this one. He's the only one brave enough to call it out. Yeah, I've got a newfound respect for Chris Eubank, Jules. He's almost been ganged up by everyone, hasn't he, in this whole thing? And I really like, especially his dad's not there. Connor's obviously got his dad there. Really sad to hear the backstory of Chris Eubank Jr. and Sr. And he does look a bit sad, I think, Chris Eubank. I think it has got him down. And I'm in this fight, I will be hoping he beats Conor Benn, who I've just got no time for. Yves Nagbu is a German IBO Cruiserweight champion. I don't think that was the one that was mentioned, Eminem, but who knows? Polly says, I've been hearing Chocolatito is going to fight Bam also. Well, it could be a retirement fight. Polly, I think that ends very, very badly for Chocolatito, mate. I think Bam knocks him out within 5 rounds. Ryan, was it Fraser Brown and Justin Murphy punching on in the centre square years ago? Terrible with names. I don't think so. Because Justin Murphy went to Essendon, didn't he, Ryan? I don't think so. I can't remember. I remember Simon Beaumont, when he played for Carlton, left to go to Hawthorn, and he punched on with someone from Carlton. And I think that might have been Justin Murphy, I think. And I think Simon Beaumont was supposed to be his best man or something, and they're punching on in the middle of the MCG. So anyway, I think from memory, can't remember. Yes, Andy, smash that like button, please, folks. Dean Wallace. Well, Dean Wallace is the guy that Fraser Brown dumped in the middle of the MCG to get Carlton into the grand final that year, Dennis. And I'm sure you remember it just as well as us Carlton fans, for all the wrong reasons, mate. I was at the game that day, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. The look on the Essendon supporters' faces, mate, was priceless. It really was. I shouldn't say it. To walk out and see the Essendon supporters with their heads in their hands and people crying, got to love those Essendon tears. But anyway, on that note, I've got to be careful what I say, because we play you guys a couple of times this year, and you're liable to give us a toweling up, and then I'll have it all over my face. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. So, guys, that is it. We are right at 9 o'clock. I really appreciate everyone tuning in, as always. Make sure you tune in every day for the Walking Boxing episodes, 7 days a week. Every day, and I think the videos are normally up by about sort of 10 to 11 o'clock in the morning. So if you want a weekly fix, they go for about 20 minutes each. So if you want a quick update and my thoughts on what's happening in that day's events, then tune in. So again, guys, if you're watching live or listening on Spotify after the fact, really appreciate no matter how you take in the show. It means a lot. And as they say, subscribe, share, like, all that sort of stuff, and we'll catch you next week.